Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. There is a conversation that I think is happening right now in the heads of so many business owners and entrepreneurs all over this country. It goes something like this. They say to themselves something like, when I sell, I'll be set. The exit of the business is the plan. The business is the nest egg. And everything, every late night, every reinvested dollar, every sacrifice is justified by this future payday. When I sell the business, I'll be set. And I understand that thinking. I've actually certainly been in that thinking. But today, I want to challenge it a little bit. Because for a lot of business owners, for a lot of entrepreneurs, for a lot of you who are intending to build something really big, I think that plan has a very serious flaw. Here's what I believe to be the reality, and the data supports this. Most small businesses never sell. I know that's not what most of our audience wants to hear, but it's just the truth. The majority of entrepreneurs who plan to fund their retirement through a business exit never get there. The data says so. Either the business just isn't sellable without them, or the market isn't right when they want out, or the valuation of that business comes in at a fraction of what they expected, or life happens, health, family, economy, whatever it is. And the exit never comes on the terms that maybe they imagined. And here's what I think is the most painful part. People spend 20, 30 years building this business with this mindset. They're pouring everything back into the business. They're taking a minimal amount of salary. They're, again, in the spirit of plugging all money back into the business, they have minimal savings. There's minimal investing going on outside of the business. And they're betting everything on a payday that unfortunately didn't arrive. Now, I think it's important that I'm clear. I'm not telling you by any stretch of the imagination to stop building your business. The business matters. Keep going. Live the dream. But the business, in my opinion, is the engine. I do not believe that for most, your business should also be considered the destination. I think for too many entrepreneurs, though, it's both. Every dollar of profit goes back into the business. Every financial decision runs through the business. The business is the plan. And when the business is the only plan, you are literally one bad year from a very scary conversation with yourself. Now, here's what I've seen from people who I think actually get this right. They build in parallel. Let me explain. The business is maybe lane one, but lane two is a wealth plan or a personal financial infrastructure that exists completely independent of the business itself. In other words, investments that don't require an exit to have value. Retirement accounts that compound in the background. Real estate, index funds, assets, things that grow whether the business has a great quarter or a terrible one. They pay themselves first, not whatever is left over after the business gets what it needs, but first. Because I think those that get it right, they understand something pretty critical. The business will always need more. There will always be a reason to reinvest. And if you wait for the business to tell you it's okay to start saving, you're probably going to be waiting a really, really long time. Now, I want to talk specifically to a group of individuals that I know listen to a lot of the No Days Off podcast. I'm talking about real estate professionals and real estate team owners. Here's what I believe to be the truth. Your real estate operation, and by the way, if you're not in real estate, this very well may be your business as well. Your small business is a cash generating machine, and it's what you do with that cash that creates the wealth. It's not the business itself that one day will be sellable. Again, I'll say that one more time. In the real estate space and a lot of other businesses, those businesses, when operating at a high level, they spin off a lot of cash, but there's not a value to that asset that is the business. Why? Because it's built so much around you. So let's maybe shift our thinking a little bit away from, hey, this business that I own is an asset and that's going to be my retirement, and instead say, this is a cash generating machine. How do I invest those dollars to create the value, the net worth, the investment that I desire? To go back to what we're talking about here, I want to give you, I think, what is a simple framework. 3 questions that I think every entrepreneur should be able to answer. Okay. Question 1, if you had to walk away from your business tomorrow without a sale or an exit or no payout, what would you have? Now, if that answer makes you uncomfortable, well, good. That's important information. Question 2, what percentage of your net worth is tied up in your business? I don't know. If it's more than 50%, you are significantly over concentrated in a single asset that's rather illiquid. I don't think that that's a great strategy. I actually think that's more speculation or a bet. And question 3, are you paying yourself enough to actually build wealth outside of the business? I'm not talking about enough to get by. I'm talking about enough to invest and to save and to build something that compounds. Now, if you're not, the business is consuming you. And at some point, you have to decide if that's the deal you actually want. So here's your action item this week, okay? Sit down and look at your personal net worth statement, your personal balance sheet. Not the business balance sheet, your personal balance sheet. What do you own outright? What is growing independently of the business? What would you have if the business was gone tomorrow? And if that picture isn't where you want it to be, okay, great. Have the conversation. Call, the mentor, the coach, the financial advisor, your accountant, your spouse, and have the conversation and then start building lane 2. Lane 2 is not instead of the business. Lane 2 is alongside the business, because the goal was never to just build this great business. The goal was to build a huge life, I'm assuming. And so make sure your financial plan reflects that. That's all I have for you today. The No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.